And the unbelievers saw it. And they said, the Lord has done great things for them. People will look at you and they will say, the Lord has done great things. The Lord has done great things. The Lord has done great things. Somebody shout, yes!
Yes! Change!
I feel God's power here.
Change!
I feel God's presence here.
Change!
I see you carrying twins in your hand. I see you carrying babies in your hand. I feel God's presence here. I see you standing to testify. People will gather. I see you celebrating. I see you holding a party. And people will say, what is happening? And you will say today,
come on,
the Lord has done great things for me. Somebody shout, no more delay.
No more delay. Kalabasakataya.
Take a seat.
Take your seat.
Take a seat.
Change. That's powerful. That's powerful.
Somebody help her there.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And Gideon said, said to the angel, angel, did you say the Lord?
Did you say the Lord
is with us? If the Lord is with us, where are the miracles?
Where?
Do you know how many of us here that go to all night every Friday?
There's no all night.
Do you know how many of us here have done deliverance for 40 days? Gone for fasting for 21 days? And there seem not to be answer. Ladies and gentlemen, the question is this. If you're going for deliverance, from what?
From what?
A man brought his child. The child was tormented. The disciples, 9 of the disciples, began to bind, began to loose for hours, and they didn't cast out the devil. Jesus came down from the mountain with Peter, James, and John. When he made them, he said, what are you guys doing? And he spoke to that demon and said, come out. And the demon came out. The man asked the father, first of all, he said, how long?
How long? How long? The root.
And the man said, from childhood. And the man began to talk that he throws him into the fire, he throws him into the water, and he foams from his mouth. That you see, the Bible is not a catalog of interview, but God is saying there is need to identify before you can confront. You go to the honor, you bind what?
What are you binding?
And the Lord said to Gideon, you know, when Gideon asked the question, God didn't answer. Because if the Lord is with me, with all my prayer, I'm born again for 15 years now. Look at my life. I live holy. Look at me. A young lady asked me, said, you knew me when I was small. I said, yes. He said, I'm 34. I've not met any man. So tell me why I'm not married.
What is wrong with
those
you?
Who are messing about, look at them, they're all married. Tell me why me? Why me? And I didn't have an answer.
The altar. The altar.
When the altar is working, that's where the mystery comes that delays you. And God didn't answer Gideon. He said in verse 25, God said to Gideon, let me show you what is holding you. You are created great and mighty.
Yes, sir.
You are created to achieve.
Yes, sir.
You are an achiever from your mother's womb.
Yes, sir.
You are a winner from your mother's womb.
Yes,
Gideon,
sir.
I packaged you to rule your generation. I didn't package you to rule servants. Let me show you what was wrong.
Yes, sir.
He showed him the altar.
He said that
the Bible
night.
said there is an altar in your father's house. Altar in your father's house. That's what God said to Gideon. He said to Gideon, destroy or somebody said destroy the altar.
Destroy the altar.
Then he said to Gideon, you know what? When you destroy the altar, now raise a new altar. Somebody say raise a new altar.
Raise a new altar.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have seen wonders. I have discovered where the rope of delay is tied is the altar. God said to Gideon, you know what? take the 7-year-old cow of your father. Now build a new altar for yourself. Because the altar that has stopped you, destroy it. But if you must move forward, you need to raise another altar. Why? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you a few things, about 10 things the altar does. Very quickly, very quickly, very quickly. Altar is, listen, altar is a place of sacrifice. Someone say a place of sacrifice.
Place of sacrifice.
Altar is a place where covenants and dedications are made. Altar is a place where humanity meets with divinity. That's the altar. It is the altar in the family and in the village that dictates the lives of sons and daughters from such place. And some of the altars have been in existence. If you get my book on the altar, you will have a clearer knowledge. They have been in existence before your father was even born. They have decided what will happen. Then it takes another man standing on a different altar to counter such altar. That is where many people have failed. We are going for deliverance. We check out the devil. The devil will respect the anointing and go away. But the altar is still speaking. Altar has voice. And the voice of the altar is sacrifice. And the sacrifice we're talking about contains blood. Blood has a voice. Blood is life. Life does not die. Life speaks. If life speaks, then altar speaks. Many of us, what is speaking is the power of the altar that discover that we are about to enter, and the voice speaks. No. We don't hear the voice. We only see the manifestation. We don't hear the voice that says, don't get married. We only see disappointment in marriage. We don't hear the voice that says, don't get this money. We only discover that it didn't work out again. That we have invested so much and nothing is coming out of it. We didn't hear any voice. All we saw, we lose the best job that was giving us money. And we bought the house we bought because where money was coming from. And now we lose the job. We lose the house. Meanwhile, the house was a product of our labor for the last 10 years. So everything is gone. Who is speaking? The altar.
Altar.
The altar.
Preach it, Papa.
Some of us were laid on the altar like me when we were babies. Some of us, the first water we drank came from that altar. Some of us, our parents were consulted altars before we were conceived. The altar. No altar is called altar until sacrifice comes on the altar. Listen to this, those of you. You must get this to listen to again. Number one, altar creates limitation in various families. They determine the level of achievement in every family. They decide where you get to. If the altar says nobody should enter this carpet, you will find that people only stop here. That's why you need to find out, where did my father stop?
Where did my father stop?
This house I'm trying to build, has anybody built it in my family?
No.
Where did my mother stop in her marriage?
Mama, why?
How come about that my own marriage is about to break at the same time that my parents' marriage got broken? Because the altar is speaking that every marriage in this family must stop at this level. Look at your elder ones. All of them have lost their marriages and returned. And you are about to lose yours if you don't do anything. Don't repeat history. Are you listening to me?
Yes, sir.
Altar determines that when you get to this, if the altar says everybody must come under this pulpit, everybody comes under. Any day you climb here, trouble starts. Your appearance here signifies the powers in the spirit that somebody has done something contrary to the order of the family. That's where the three spirits in charge of every family, the ruler spirit, the familiar spirit, and witchcraft spirit, assemble and hold a meeting to find out, how did you get here? The familiar spirit has the details. The familiar spirit is the secretary of the family, and he brings the record to check out. Has anybody in the family gotten to this level? That's why many of you with 2 degrees, you are not anywhere. Why? Who had a degree in your family?
Nobody.
Some of you are going through pains because nobody, check your mother's lineage. Who has ever entered London? You were the first to enter. And you were the first to bring someone else. And they say, they check the record, only to discover that you are still connected to the altar. And because you are connected to the altar, that's why they attacked you. Altar. Number 2, altar establishes the evil pattern There are many families with different patterns. Different patterns. But I remember my son here, Pastor Dada, in his lineage, from the mother's lineage, every male get blind at the age of 25. But he escaped. The mother's brothers, 4 of them, all of them got blind at the age of 25. And how do you explain it? The pattern. The pattern, that's why you can see in a family, at a certain age, this person will divorce. At that age, another one divorce. At that age, another one divorce. You look at another family, at that age, somebody dies. At that age, somebody dies. At that age, somebody dies. You look into another family, as soon as you start building a house, that is when sickness comes upon you. And you look into the family, there are many uncompleted buildings. You see into another family, as soon as you graduate from the university, your trouble has started. Into another family, it's a pattern. As soon as you give birth to a male child, the trouble starts. Or as soon as you give birth to your last child, the trouble starts. Because it's a pattern.
It's a pattern.
What is sponsoring the pattern?
The
altar. Somebody say every altar.
Every altar.
Sponsoring patterns.
Sponsoring patterns.
In my life.
In my life.
Scattered by fire.
Scattered by fire.
Please sit down, sit down. My time is out. The altars. Altars sponsors repetition of negative history, where you are repeating your parents' history. You are going through things. Your father taught for 35 years and retired with nothing. You too have been teaching for the last 25 years in a land that has opportunities, and there is nothing to show. Your mother was selling small things. You too have started boot selling in London. The same small things. And do not know you are repeating history. You are listening to me here.
Yes,
it's the altar that is sponsoring it. Number four. Altar sponsors generational curses. Every generational curse is connected to the altar.
Yes,
so it is useless to revoke the curse without dealing with the altar.
Yeah.
If you don't deal with the altar, you revoke the curse. The spirit will go and they will return, because what sponsors them is still in existence. Am I communicating here?
Yes, sir.
Altar sponsors and empowers covenants. Ancient covenants. Covenant by your ancestors. Altar sponsor and empower dedications to strange spirits. I remember one of my friends. He preached in the bachelor's eve of my marriage in 1982. By 1993, he wasn't married. He was engaged at the same time. What was the problem? He didn't know what was the problem. Disappointment upon disappointment upon disappointment upon disappointment. He got a point that he doesn't know who to approach anymore. He's an intelligent man. He is a prayer warrior. Child of God, you can be a prayer warrior and you are very, very ignorant. My people are destroyed. For lack of what? Knowledge. Until I talked with him, I said to him, go and ask your mother. It's when he went to ask his mother that the mother told him that when I had you, I dedicated you to the water spirit God, because I was the chief priestess. Not knowing that dedication married him to the water spirit. So any other woman is not allowed. It's illegal. And the water spirit will fight the relationship. Delayed for 11 years. I break every delay in your life.
Break it. Break it.
He didn't know that what was keeping him, what was creating the problem, was in his mother's house. Somebody said, deal with the altar.
Deal with the altar.
Number 7. Altars are residency of power of witchcraft in the family. Altars. They are the residency of power of witchcraft. If you are dealing with witchcraft in your family and don't deal with the altar, the witchcraft will continue. Witchcraft is a spirit, and